Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Southborough Housing Opportunity Partnership Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for the remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with the right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Southborough's website at www.southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting or participate may do so in the following manner: www.southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. I try to read it too fast, I guess. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm going to call the meeting to order. And first item on our agenda is the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and SHOPC tiebreaker that was voted on. And I'm going to have Sarah. No, I'm not going to have Sarah. I'm going to have Chelsea speak to that. I spoke with Lisa, and Lisa's unable to join us this morning. So,
sure. So as we were working on putting the 16B unit at Stockwell on the market, it came to our attention that in the instance that the HOA between 16A and 16B came to an impasse, there was no tiebreak language in the documents there. So we got council's advice, and the recommendation was that SHOPC be the tiebreak vote in the case that the two units were not in agreement. And so that means that SHOPC would get 1 out of 3 votes. The reason why we didn't do the trust was because there could be an instance where the trust actually owns one of the properties. So we didn't want them to have 2 votes in that instance. So we thought SHOPC made the most sense and did have town council weigh in on that. And the trust did vote that SHOPC would take on this role, just as long as SHOPC was okay with it. Does anybody have any questions?
any questions at all? Is everybody okay with being the tiebreaker vote? Okay, I don't believe that's something we need to vote on. To accept that. I guess we could take a vote just in case it's needed.
Yeah, you might as well.
Okay, put a motion on the floor that SHOPC accepts the responsibility of being the tiebreaker vote.
So moved.
Does it have to be specifically for the Stockwell Lane property, or is it in general?
So that actually came up at the trust conversation, and it would be in general, although we don't know that it would apply to any other property at this time.
Okay, so in general, SHOPC would be the tiebreaker vote for anything that comes up with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So Alex seconded,
Okay.
so this is a roll call vote.
Well, I'll second it. Someone has to, I'll second it.
Oh, okay, I thought Alex did.
I
that.
did so move, so he seconded.
Oh, okay, perfect, sorry, okay. Chelsea?
Aye.
Alex?
Aye.
Tom B?
Aye.
Tom M?
Aye.
And Dorian, aye. Okay, so that's done. Thank you, Chelsea. Okay, Master Plan Committee update. Tom.
So we're, what, I would say 95% done. So there was a couple of discussion points we had last week about the inclusion of the different committees in town. And we discussed that at the MPC, the Master Planning Committee meeting, and they said we'd rather err on inclusive than exclusive. So one of the things we were talking about is the planning board. Slipping me right now. The other, actually, I can.
Capital planning.
Capital planning, thank you. Just to put them listed there, it doesn't mean that they're an active participant, but they are a contributor to that. Do we have any, oh, Chelsea, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I'm just asking my kids to leave the room. Sorry.
That's what I thought she was doing.
Sorry, chaos before school, you know?
Hey, you have school though. So do we have any opinions, discussion around that point?
No, so we would include planning board and capital.
Yes.
Just in terms of boards that would give feedback into the master plan, is that the idea?
Around housing, yes, exactly.
Around housing, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, or boards that need to be involved when it comes to the, kind of soup to nuts creation of housing, obviously planning, if it has to do with like a zoning amendment or such, would be involved, so.
Yeah, I have no problem with it. Alex, do you have any issues with it?
All right, thanks.
No. Okay.
The other thing that there is still some grant money through the MPC document creation is to get updated statistics. So Sarah is putting in a request to update the, is it ACS or ASC?
ASC.
ASC demographic information. As you know, our HPP had from 2013 to 2017, and we're requesting to see if we can get any updated information from MAPC on that. So that's going to be updated, and we're just fine tuning. So I think we feel comfortable. If you want to see the whole document this week, we can pass it around and you guys can review it, knowing that the ACS will be updated in the document once we get it back. If the request is going in after our next MPC meeting, because all the different sections, if they need updated graphs, demographics, information, statistics and stuff, we're putting the request in all at once. So all the stuff that's in our report that you guys kind of saw last week is going to be updated. We just felt if it's there, let's get it now, instead of, again, it's already now 4 years old information.
When is your next master plan committee meeting?
Tomorrow night.
Tom? Tomorrow night? Okay,
7:30.
thank you.
And that's it on the MPC. Am I missing anything, Sarah?
No, that's it. Again, we're engaging MPC because most of the chapters, their data is, obviously significantly older. We are fortunate to have just done the HPP, so our data is definitely, more current. And so we will look to update that if there is any additional, data out there that is, more current than what we have.
Perfect. Okay. Okay, HPP implementation planning, our next steps. So Sarah, would you like to take this with our board?
So we got the grant, everybody, and I think that's super exciting. So looking forward to working with MAPC. I did send an email to them, in hopes of getting some additional information for the board, not just the congratulatory award email, but unfortunately I haven't received feedback yet. But I'm hoping that we'll be able to start working with them in the next month or so and kind of get that rolling. So I'm just going to kind of keep. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, but we work directly with them. This does not have to go out to bid to get another group like COG or somebody in here. We work directly with the MAPC.
Yep.
Okay.
So that once we do, get feedback from them, hopefully it'll start really quickly. I know that they are kind of a big organization that takes on a lot of things with a minimal amount of staffing. So I think that sometimes that creates a little bit of a slow start, but once they get started, I'm sure that things will go quickly. So I'm excited to get working on that.
Congratulations, everybody.
Yeah.
And tell me again, Sarah, this is because we talked about a couple of things last time. Is this for funding to start doing the analysis and study for the zoning overlay?
No, but we do have good, that's the next thing that we'll talk about.
Oh.
We do have good feedback on that. This is for the 5-year strategic plan for the
Oh.
Affordable Housing Trust
Oh,
Fund.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, yep.
For the
So,
HPP.
yep. So
Mhm.
to make sure that we
Except
are
for the
able
HPP,
to, effectively expend those funds and, rewrite that warrant article language, that standing warrant article language to utilize at town meeting moving forward to make sure that those funds are always transferred swiftly and appropriately from CPC.
Yes. Okay, anybody have any other questions on that issue? Congratulations, Sarah. That was great that you got us money.
Oh,
All right, so the next discussion we need to do is the community one-stop application. So everyone
again,
received the feedback from Vanessa that we received. Does everybody have that?
Mhm.
Okay, Sarah, do you want to speak to
yeah,
this?
and I
one?
can even share that if anybody wanted to take a look at it right now in real time. So good news there. I mean, the Route 9 initiative that we want to kind of work collaboratively with the other boards on, they did give some feedback that they were a little unsure of exactly what the first step and what first phase would be for that project. So I think that that's definitely going to take some more effort and coordination across the boards to make sure that we have a solid submission for the large grant application portion. However, the Southville EOI that we wrote, kind of independently as Shopsy was very well received. And they gave us some really tangible feedback that we can work towards when, submitting the full application for that. So that is really exciting.
Excellent.
And Chelsea
Fantastic.
was really helpful, and Dorian was really helpful in crafting that language. It ended up being 1,000 characters that they were looking for, not words. So it definitely took some interesting wordsmithing to make sure that we could fit everything into that requirement. So I'm glad that they were able to decipher what we were talking about after we hacked it all up. So,
Oh, great job, you guys.
You
yeah.
did a good job, team.
Yeah. So the full application, oh, sorry. Chelsea,
No,
you wanna
we got
go?
the downtown initiative then too, right?
I was just gonna, I think you were gonna go there, so go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, I was, yeah, I mean, the downtown initiative was in there as well. But all I was gonna say was that the application, the full application is open and is due by June 3rd, I believe.
June
But
4th.
do you want to talk to the downtown initiative a little more, Chelsea?
No, I mean, that was part of the process, but that's not our
No,
piece.
sorry,
Our piece is-
I just was gonna say that the full application was due June 4th, so
Oh,
I didn't know if we wanted to, if you wanted any one of us to help you with that, Sarah, or kind of what direction you wanted to go in on that.
yeah, I can definitely take a look at it. But having some support with that would be helpful, just to make sure that I'm allocating my time appropriately. But yeah, definitely.
Okay, we don't need to speak to the downtown initiative because that's not our piece of it, but they need to come back and rework that a little bit too then, correctly?
So tell me again, what's due June 4th again? I thought I lost the thread of the discussion.
Sure. So the expression of interest that we submitted through the one-stop application
Yeah.
portal, we receive feedback from them in terms of like what's viable and what's not viable. And then the full application for the actual funds is due by the.
Okay, so now they've given us kind of a wink, wink, nod, nod that, hey, you should
Right.
proceed with this if you want something that has
Right.
traction. So go ahead and fill out the application
Yes.
and take it to the next step. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's the next step on this
Yes.
Southville initiative.
Yep. And
Okay.
in the feedback, that they provided, they told us specifically which, grant opportunities to look into in terms of the criteria, because this is an umbrella for 10 different programs. So they listed the two programs, that they thought were most applicable. Obviously, one being that new initiative to create that transit-oriented development, it's actually a requirement, now for Southborough. So they did indicate that that would be a good fit for this particular project. So it must be that, I know that, the legislation that came out said that it has to be within a half a mile of transit. And so I think that we're sort of meeting that criteria depending on where we draw the boundaries for that district.
And that's what we consider the overlay district around there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could be an overlay district.
Well, we've been talking about this in terms of a potential 40R project.
Right.
40R
Agreed.
zoning.
Agreed.
So yeah, I know I've been the person making the most noise about doing a 40R down there. So I feel like I should volunteer myself for any, to help you on that. If
that would be great.
that's
No,
my help, sure.
absolutely. With the forward that I sent, is the feedback from the state on the EOI, as well as a Word version of the full
the actual
application.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to just look through those fields and, even shoot off some preliminary notes, that would be like helpful. Because
Gotcha.
I haven't gotten started.
And is
on
this, and I'm like the least savvy about protocols and procedures in town. Is this an application that we're free to go ahead and put together from shop scene submit without having to go get, blessings and approvals from 6 people above us?
Chelsea might be able to answer that better, but my understanding is that our portion we will own, our portion of the project, and then it's collaboratively submitted from the town.
I see. We sort of sponsor to the town, and the town's the one that actually puts it, is the applicant.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So Vanessa is the one who filled out I sent her a Word version of what we came up with, and she was the one who actually uploaded it into the state's portal, and I'm assuming that it will go the same way this time around.
Okay, gotcha, perfect.
Okay, in the overall notes on these projects, it says that in the planning and zoning categories, they require submission of a separate full application. So do we have to have planning and zoning do anything on our part of the application or on our project idea? Do they have to come up with a plan?
I thought that was referring to the various.
I think it's the category, Dorian.
Okay, all right. All right, maybe I just read that. Okay.
And I think because we had multiple projects related to planning and zoning, that they were just saying that you have to have separate applications for each
Okay.
of the projects.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Okay, good. All right. Does anybody have any other questions on either of those topics? Nope. Okay.
I have a question. Did I miss us approving last week's meetings minutes?
Nope. I'm just going to that now.
Thought I was asleep.
Usually I do that first. You're right, Alex, but I jumped into the regular meeting this morning. So I'd like to do a vote on the minutes from March 26th. Did everybody have a chance to read through them? Does anybody have any changes, discussions, questions, anything at all? Okay, this is a roll call vote. Motion to approve the minutes from Friday, March 26th.
So moved.
Okay,
Second,
okay. It's a roll call vote for approval. Chelsea,
aye.
Alex,
Aye.
Tom B,
Aye.
Tom M,
Aye.
and Dorian is aye. Minutes are approved. Thank you, Kate. I think, hang on. One other thing I wanted to go through or talk to you guys about. So I had sent the letter to Lisa Braccio about the transfer of the CPC monies. And the question is from Lisa, the motion in the minutes was to ask them about the procedure to transfer the funds, not to transfer the funds. We need to kind of figure this out so that I can make sure that we're getting what we want. So Chelsea had made a motion. We had a very long discussion about this at the last minute, or the last meeting, sorry, not the last minute. And we were back and forth on it. And the motion was to ask them about the procedure. The procedure is CPC is going to have to vote to transfer the funds. So do you want us to ask Affordable Housing Trust Fund to ask CPC to vote to transfer the funds? So they've been sitting on $196,266.32, I think is the number. And we are not getting the interest on that money. We have lost interest on a huge portion of that for 12 years now. CPC is getting the interest. Affordable Housing Trust Fund is losing the interest on those funds. So do you want me to ask them to ask for the transfer of the funds, or do you want it to sit where it is?
I got a couple of questions around that. That's interesting that the trust fund has to ask the CPC for the transfer of funds, but that can happen at one of their regular scheduled meetings, right?
Yes.
Doesn't need anything above and beyond.
No, because it's already been approved by town meeting.
Right.
But I guess the next step is Affordable Housing Trust Fund has to ask CPC to vote to transfer the funds. It's the wording on the warrant articles, I guess.
So what is is there any downside or upside I mean, the upside, yes, it's quicker control. We don't have to wait until their meeting cycles and stuff like that. Worst case, that could be like a 60-day delay if we needed the funds. I mean, I don't see any downside right now of asking for it, so it's actually in the appropriate bucket. Am I missing something? I just don't see why we wouldn't have the trust fund request that.
No, the trust fund. So we're losing interest. The trust fund is losing the interest piece, and that's been 12 years of interest. That's a lot of money that has been lost. That we're probably talking a couple of $1,000s at this point on that kind of money. So
And I think the discussion was last time we had a long discussion about it. And so I was sort of going back and forth in my own mind. But the takeaway I had was that, you know, it's just sort of an unnecessary additional procedural step. If we, you know, find some project that we want to immediately grab onto that money for, because real estate moves fast, as we all know. And if we get bogged down with having to wait until the next meeting of the CPC to go ask them for money, it's just going to slow down the process. And that money had been appropriated for the fund a long time ago. It just hasn't physically been moved there. And I think Dorian's point is it should just be there. We don't have a particular, use for it right now, but it should be sitting in a place where we can grab it if we need it. That was my sort of takeaway from the conversation last time.
I don't see a downside.
Say again, Alex.
I don't see a downside.
I don't either. I mean,
I do remember Chelsea has some reservations. So I don't do.
I was going to ask Chelsea to comment.
You know what? I said my piece last time for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I haven't changed.
Okay. All right.
I just can tell you, if I was sitting in CPC seat, I would vote no to transfer it. We haven't come up with a plan in 12 years. And now we're going to go to them and say, transfer the money now because we want it. I just think that's not being collaborative.
I think transfer the funds now because we sold Stockwell and we actually have a significant amount of money to do something with it, because 196,000 and some change really doesn't do much in this town. But if we actually have Stockwell in the 196,000, then that's some significant amount of money to make an investment in housing, affordable housing.
It just ties our hands to be able to do anything. So, I mean, I understand Shopsy hasn't done a lot in the past because there really hasn't been a lot to be able to get done. And there's just no land or opportunities, but we have options here right now. And to have our hands tied that we have to wait for another committee to vote on money to be transferred to have that paperwork all done, take the time to get that transfer done through Brian's office in the accounting office. It's the time factor. It ties our hands and we could lose an opportunity. And right now, the push is to get this affordable housing or to do something. And it just seriously ties our hands. And that's my problem. That's the problem I have with it. And we're also losing money by letting it sit with CPC. Affordable housing is losing money that we could be using to do something with. And we're not talking about millions of dollars here, but we're talking enough to make a difference for our committee.
Is
So
the
that's
trust-
why I'm pushing for it.
Is the trust in an interest-bearing account?
The Affordable Housing Trust Fund? I don't know. I would assume that it would be.
You
I
assume.
mean, all the
Interest-
CPC
interest
money
is-
is,
You don't
It's
know.
pretty, interest.
but I
is
don't know.
negligible,
No, I
but
don't know.
It's going up.
Yeah, it's nothing right now. But
I don't understand. If we ask them and they say no, we're no worse off than we are now.
I think it's just in the spirit of collaboration, Alex, that I'm looking at it
Okay.
from. And I'm just not I would rather collaborate with other boards and committees and just understand the process rather than just go in and say, you need to do this. If you read the language in the warrant article, I don't interpret it that they just have to transfer the money. I think the way it's worded, maybe we need to get town council to weigh in on, but I'm more of a collaborator rather than like, you need to do this. That's my perspective.
Oh, that was my understanding is that, and I didn't go back and look at the Warren article. You're much more in the weeds than I am, Chelsea. But I thought, and maybe this is where the discussion point has a snafu someplace, that it had already been appropriated and should have been transferred and just hasn't been done. Is that not the case?
First part is true. The second part is
Well,
great.
It's hard because, as Chelsea was mentioning, the way that the warrant article language was crafted, it did give, it seemed as though it gave some autonomy to CPC to continue to sort of
Control the purse
control, for lack
strings,
of a better
I
word,
see.
those funds, even though they were allocated, by vote of the townspeople to transfer them into the housing bucket. So it's sort of
Gotcha. So CPC was still
technical
supposed to be a sort of governor of the money.
Yeah,
Well, isn't that what the trust fund is?
Well,
Yeah.
the
Multiple
last,
levels.
the last sentence of the motion says said funds to be expended under the direction of the Community Preservation Committee. So what does that mean?
right. So
Right?
what
So
does
that's
that
the
mean?
question. And I think it's a town council question to see how that language should be interpreted.
I do think that moving forward and what I hope to gain, in this kind of strategic planning with MAPC is language that makes it clear that those monies should be transferred to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, because that's why you set up an Affordable Housing Trust Fund for your community. The point is for them to be the oversight mechanism, for those funds. So, and not to slight CPC or make this any kind of, thing. Because I think collaboration does make a lot of sense, but, the money should just.
Yeah, there is a timing issue though too. I mean, I'm here to sort of both perspectives on it, but there, from a real estate standpoint, if there is an opportunity, then you need the funds quickly. And if you do get bogged down with having to go seek an approval and wait for, CPC to get together at their next meeting in 3 weeks, it is an inhibitor to moving on something. Is there any harm, Chelsea? And I sort of see Alex's view. Is it harm in just asking if they say, yes, we got it, and it's there? No.
So I'll tell, I'm not in favor of that approach, but
Yeah.
that's why I want to ask them, what is the process? Let's say something does come on the market and we
Yeah.
want to do it, then how
quickly
long
can
does
we?
it take for you to mobilize?
Yeah.
Or we go with, we have this strategic plan. Once our strategic plan is done and you review it, then
Yeah,
know,
we're gonna want,
transfer the funds.
$100,000 for these three sort of at least broad projects in the next year. So can you please
Yeah.
transfer the $100,000 to our account so we have it?
I just think that there's been nothing that I've seen that Shopsy's talked about that we've missed out on because we didn't have the funds. We actually haven't talked about any properties that we've wanted to pursue, that we haven't been able to do because we didn't have the funds, unless I'm wrong.
But what if we wanted to hire a consultant tomorrow to start investigating the feasibility of a Southville Road rezone, 40R rezoning? Would we have the $10,000 to write a check tomorrow if we needed to, or would
Yeah,
we need those
well,
funds?
we have $60,000 in the trust now.
Already.
Stockwell's going to sell on May 20th, so we'll have the proceeds of that on May 20th.
Okay, so it would only
but-
be a big project that we would get this additional
I mean, it
money.
would be an actual purchase of something, not necessarily a study. And that's why we're going for like Sarah got that grant to write the strategic plan. So that way we know what we need money for, right? And then the one-stop grant for the Southville. So that hopefully we'll get a grant for up to $75,000.
I don't think it's a question of not collaborating. It's a question of where you want the money to sit. The town voted for that money to be transferred, for that money to go to us. And I don't see the harm in it sitting in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, collecting interest for our needs versus sitting in CPC, who's going to have to transfer it to us anyway. So the only thing it's doing is giving them the interest versus us the interest. And
I'd like to
we
see
don't get our hands on the money. The Affordable
like to
Housing
see the
Trust Fund
of that, I
is
think.
holding the money. It's meant for us to have it. It's meant for the housing to have it. It's not meant to be sitting in a bank account at CPC for 12 years, collecting interest for them. It's supposed to be with affordable housing. And to me, it's one less step for us to get something done if the money is already where it needs to be versus us having to wait. I've sent an email to CPC to ask what their process is. I've never heard back from them. I'm on the committee. I can't even get a response from them. So, I mean, I don't know what to do, but if they're not going to answer us, we're talking about collaboration. If you send an email asking for information, you can't get an answer. I mean, it's not about collaboration. It's about the town voted for that money to go to Affordable Housing Trust Fund. They oversee all the money. We don't get the money. It's sitting in that group, and that is the Board of Selectmen. So I don't see the harm in having the money transferred because that's what the town voted for it to do, to go to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
I'm trying to get to the same answer, Dorian. I'm just going about it a different way.
No, I understand, Chelsea, and I understand what you're saying, but my point is it's been sitting in a bucket with CPC for 12 years, and they are gaining the interest on it. It could be in the Housing Trust Fund, sitting there as well, but getting us the interest money. We're losing money by letting it sit where it is, and we don't need to be doing that. They're not going to give us the interest. We're losing money by letting it sit with CPC versus just sitting with us. Either way, it's just sitting there right now. But we can't use it for anything unless the Affordable Housing Trust Fund agrees to it. So it's not like we're going to take it and do something that we shouldn't be
Agrees to it,
doing.
right? Yeah.
But it's one less step. If something comes up, our hands are tied. Our hands are tied, and it'll probably take a month or more to get that money to where it needs to be. Because you have to wait for them to meet, then you have to wait for the money to get to affordable housing, then you have to wait for affordable housing to vote on it. So we're trying to eliminate steps that are going to delay us getting to do something.
Can you elaborate so this is the part, the interest stuff and all that stuff, I understand. But the part that I think the one statement that you said that kind of like makes me want to vote to transfer the funds is they didn't get back to a request for a procedural. How long we've been waiting on that for a procedural thing?
Couple of months.
So that to me, collaboration and all that stuff, yes, it's a small town, we should do that. But if they didn't get back to how we transfer the money and how timely it is and stuff, what does that tell us
I just
about
think
a
it's
timely
delay.
transfer?
it's just delay, delay, delay. The town voted for the money to be transferred, to be given to affordable housing. That's where the money should have been, starting in 2009. They've been sitting on that $90,000. Was it 90,000 the first year? Hang on, $90,000 in 2009. So that's interest since 2009. Then you had another 70,000 in 2011. Then you had 36,000 something in 2012. That money is all sitting in CPC, collecting interest that could be sitting in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, collecting interest. So I understand collaboration. I understand we don't have a project right now. My fear is something's going to come about that we are going to need that money faster than waiting 1 or 2 months to get committees and transfers and permission and everything else. It's a lot easier to transfer the money now. It was approved by town meeting to give it to Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and the only step we have to do is go to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. They would look at what our project is and they would decide whether it's a go or it's a no. We don't have to wait for CPC, wait for a transfer, then go to affordable housing, wait for a vote, and then wait for a payment. There's no reason to not have that money transferred. There's no benefit to letting it just sit with CPC. There's no benefit at all. Where's the benefit for that?
I share Tom's concern that if it took a couple of months and no answer as to the process, how long would it really take to get the funds? And in this market, not that it's a normal market, but in this market, houses sell in hours. Property sells in hours.
Yeah, Tom's comment is resonating with me too. It's because I think the thought process was, let's check with CPC to see what the process is. And if they say, hey, all you have to do is, call us on a Wednesday, we'll have the money to you on Friday. Then it's okay. Well, there's not a big barrier to getting that money. But Tom's point I thought was well said. If we can't even get them to get their act together to tell us what the process is, that seems like an indicator of how easy or difficult it's going to be to get them to process an actual funding.
Just not good at getting back to you. They're not good at responding. I mean, I could bring it up in a meeting, but I don't know what kind of response I'm going to get there either. Send us a note. I don't know. I'm just saying there's no reason for us to have to deal with the delay. I understand we don't have a project. I get that. But CPC should not be a barrier to us getting our job done. We are a very separate committee. The funding was approved by town meeting. 3 different town meetings approved money for us. That money should be where we need it to be for us to be able to use it. We shouldn't have to jump through hoops to get the money that the taxpayers have already voted to give to us.
So what's
Yeah.
this next
Not
steps on
about,
this,
I don't
Joanne? What are you
believe it's
proposing
about
to do?
collaborating with them. I don't believe it's about collaborating with CPC. It's about doing what the taxpayers have asked the committees to do.
Hmm.
That's just my read on it. I understand Chelsea's viewpoint. I definitely respect the viewpoint. I just have a different one. So, and
Yeah.
whatever you guys want to do, I will support whatever you guys direction you want us to go in. I will fully support it. But you know me, I will tell you what I'm thinking when I'm thinking it. So I'm very straightforward. Is there any more discussion on that?
You were started to say something, Tom?
No, I was just saying, hey, what's the next step? I think we've beaten the horse pretty good at this point. What's the action item?
Yeah, so I believe what I'm asking is for a vote to ask me to send a letter to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund asking them to request the transfer of the funds from CPC. CPC is going to have to vote. So they're going to have a meeting and make a vote on that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not going to happen at the May 20th meeting either, because that's all pre-town meeting. So you're going to be waiting until the June meeting, if there is a June meeting. So there's nothing scheduled right now that I know of. So does anybody have a comment on that?
No, I'd say maybe someone make a motion and we can vote on it.
I'll make a motion that Shopsy request from the Affordable Housing Trust to request the transfer of the CPC funds.
Seconded.
Okay, this will be a roll call vote. Tom B.
I will vote in favor.
Okay, Alex,
Aye.
Chelsea,
No.
Tom, M,
Yes.
and
Yep.
Duran is an I. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4 to 1. Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? I think that is everything on our agenda. Any other questions for anything else on topics today? Okay, we should probably schedule our next meeting, which will be in after town meeting. So we're looking in June.
I'm not trying to add on more meetings. However, since the date for the full submission for the one-stop grant is, June 3rd, 4th, 4th. Thank you. I think I keep giving myself like an extra day, which is why I have the 3rd in my head, to make sure that I make the deadline. So, just putting it out there, does this board want to convene one more time to take a
Do we
look at
need to
that?
vote?
or
I
to
mean,
take a
if we
vote on
need to
that
vote on the application before it's submitted, then I guess we would need to meet before the.
I
4th,
think
or
I
do
think
we?
that either way, but either there needs to be some kind of consensus or cognizance that you will not see it, as a full board before it's submitted, or have another meeting so that everyone does have an opportunity to see it.
No,
and discuss it.
Yeah, I think we should also, I think we should see it, take a look at it and discuss it.
Mhm.
And we should have a meeting just for that, specifically just for that. So if you're looking, so
I'd say, toward like maybe the last week in May,
okay, so that would be
give
Monday,
us-
the 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th,
Yeah.
28th.
yeah.
Does a Wednesday morning work for everybody?
I can do the 26th.
Works just as well
Chelsea,
for
the
me.
26th work for you? Okay, Alex?
Yes.
Okay, and Tom?
Yep.
Yes. All right, so why don't we schedule it for Wednesday, May 26th at 8 a.m.
Perfect.
And it will be just a discussion about the application.
Yes.
And Sarah, you and I can collaborate separately on that. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'll start
absolutely.
looking at that stuff and
Great.
we can start pulling something together.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, I have it on the schedule. Okay, so we don't have anything for town meeting, so that's a good thing. All right, everybody enjoy town meeting. Good luck. Have a great few weeks in between here. And thank you all for being here, and I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Alex, did you want to say something?
Is the town meeting going to be on Zoom?
I have no idea.
I
I wouldn't think so,
don't
but I have no idea.
know.
Last year
don't-
they
I don't
had
believe so.
Sam record it and then replay it. I don't think it was
It's not
live
live streamed.
last year.
It won't be live streamed.
Okay.
No.
How do people participate? How does the public participate?
Kate's
How do
got
they
the
vote?
inside
No,
scoop.
it's outside like last year.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, it's outside. Come see me. I'll be working.
Bring a blanket and some snacks.
Mhm. Bring me lunch.
What if
And a
it's
comfy
snowing?
chair,
What if
an
it's
umbrella
snowing?
for the sun. Okay, meeting is adjourned. We'll get a vote on it. Chelsea?
Motion, who's making the motion?
Oh,
Second.
get a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Tom made it and Alex seconded it, I think.
Okay.
Tom,
Chelsea,
Aye.
Alex,
Aye.
Tom B,
Aye.
Tom M,
Aye.
Dorian I. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.